Good morning, you two, and welcome to our first writing lesson for the week. This week, we're starting a new writing unit all about narrative texts, and that's another name for story writing. And story writing is actually probably the most complicated text that we look at in year two, so which is why we leave it towards the end of the year so that you have lots and lots of skills with your writing so that we can jump right into narratives. This time, we're going to be starting investigating a number of stories that we know really, really well. We know how the characters operate, we know who they are, we know what the start of the story is, and the middle and the end. And narratives have a particular structure. You can see the poster behind me that I've written the parts of a narrative there. And we're going to think about one particular story today. We're going to think about Jack and the Beanstalk. So I've popped a clip in Padlet for you to watch a read aloud of Jack and the Beanstalk. And if you haven't watched it now, I'd like you to pause this video and go and watch the clip so that you're able to understand what I'm talking about when we break down the story of Jack and the Beanstalk. Because there's lots of different retellings, but we're going to be focusing on the one from the clip today. So you can see with the poster behind me that I have 5 different parts of a story that we're going to be talking about today. And this is kind of like a plan. So we need to make sure we have the title, the setting, which is where the story takes place, who the characters are. Now, characters in a story are those characters who are speaking. So in Jack and the Beanstalk, there's a couple of tricky ones. So the cow doesn't actually do a lot of talking, so we don't count that one as a character. But some retellings of Jack and the Beanstalk actually have the golden hen talking. So just have to decide, you'll have to watch the clip and find out. And then we come to the problem. All narratives have an introduction, we meet the characters, and then we come across a problem that needs to be solved. So there's a couple of problems in Jack and the Beanstalk. I need you to think about what they are. Jack comes across little obstacles along the way, and there might be little problems, not just the big problem of coming across the giant at the end. And then how is the problem solved? And we call that the solution. So what I need you today is I want you to roll up your page just like I have on my poster, and I'd like you to label it the same way. And then I want you to have a think about all of the different components of the story. And that's exactly what I've done. And I've written some of my ideas down on a post-it note. So I'm going to stick those into the correct sections. So I'm just going to have to move a little bit. Okay, so you can see here I have the title. Now we know that the title is Jack and the Beanstalk, so you can pop that one in there. You already know how to do that. So the settings, where did the story take place? Now Jack and the Beanstalk actually has a number of settings. So I have the farm, and I know that you'll be able to do better drawings than me. And then there was the market where Jack got the magic beans from the man. And then there was another place Jack went, which was giant land. I've drawn an enormous foot. So I've got a single word for the setting, just one word, and I've got a picture cue for me as well. The next section is the characters in the story. So I have Jack, and if you'd like to draw a picture of Jack, you can. Jack's mother. So Jack's mum, and of course the giant. Now, after you finish watching the clip, you might find that there might be another character that does some talking. You'll have to watch really, really carefully. Now, the problem. I'm going to start with the first problem in the story. Jack's family was really poor, and that's the problem that started the story. There were other problems along the way. We know then that to solve the problem, they had to sell the cow. But instead of getting 5 golden coins for the cow, Jack got some beans. That was the problem. And then the beans grew. And then Jack went up the beanstalk. And then we had a whole heap of problems. So there might be a number of problems that you can identify that happen in the story. And then the solution, there might be a few. But I've written Jack chopped down the beanstalk and I've drawn a little axe there. So your job today is to break our story apart, and this is kind of how we can plan our narratives one way. So remember, you need to include your title, the setting, which is where the story takes place, characters, and I've done the main ones. There might be some more, but remember, characters do some talking. The problem, and there's more than one. A good narrative has more than one problem. Little teeny ones, and often a really big one. Doesn't even have to be a big giant, but it's a big problem, but often little tiny ones that lead up to a big catastrophe. But the problems are always solved, and that's how a narrative structure works. So today, guys, I'd love to see your plans, ruling up the way that I have, making sure that you pop the title in and thinking about all those different story elements that we know and using a story that we know really, really well. If you'd like to watch the clip again before you start your narrative breakdown and plan, I really encourage you to do that. You can maybe pause it along the way and take some notes. You don't have to use post-it notes if you don't want to. You can just draw your own things. It's up to you. I'm looking forward to seeing how you organise your learning year 2, and I'll see you back tomorrow where we're going to use our plan to do a retell of the story. Bye.